Hello, hello. This is the my artifact episode number 3565. Today's date is August 31, 2025. It's been almost like morning at 8:36 a.m. All right, let's just jump directly to the question. All right, yeah, let's go. Okay, question is, what are the best digital marketing method in Indian businesses? Okay. Okay, first of all, what exactly is this question and why are you asking this question? Okay, be specifically, this question is mostly associated with the business and business study, uh, specifically regarding about marketing. Okay, why am I asking this question to myself? Um, this is kind of like a only question is actually really needed for me. In the future, I wanted to establish a startup, run a business. I don't really have any information regarding about how to I do that. I don't really have any degree or nothing really at all. I'm not really even graduate too. Okay. But if I wanted to run a business, then I have to be know all the terms and flexible things. Okay, yeah. So whenever I need it, I will gonna utilize my information. So that's why I'm actually asking this question to myself regarding about this particular topic, so that I would little bit aware of what is actually business and what is actually marketing and things like that. And also what would I supposed to do. All right, now regarding about question, the question says that wait, question says that what are the best digital marketing method for Indian businesses. Okay, so what is exactly digital marketing, and first of all, what is actually marketing? Marketing means like that ki you are promoting your content. Okay, and that is called marketing. Now there are multiple ways to do that, but it is really essential to understand what is actually your product and what is actually your service. Example, let's just say that you are selling a product. Let's just say iPhone. Oh yeah. So basically, it's this thing you have to be figure it out who is your audience and who will kind of like a simply buy this phone. Let's just say you launch a phone kind of like iPhone, which cost almost like a 1 lakh rupees. So probably the people who gonna buy this phone, those people are kind of like a rich people, right? So how do you supposed to promote your content? How do you supposed to promote your product regarding about rich people can buy? Like basically poor people or middle class people won't be able to buy your iPhone, right? So probably you need to market your phone in such a way that kind of like a rich people will gonna buy. So how do you supposed to do that? Well, you have to be kind of like a something. First of all, make a advertisement. Okay, yeah. Advertisement is a kind of like a something very essential tool for marketing. Now, in the kind of like a simply advertisement, you need to figure it out multiple things. Okay, yeah. So when you are making advertisement, you need to figure it out multiple things. What are those? Make a advertisement in a such a way so that it would appease a rich people. Okay, yeah. Means like that make a advertise regarding about how does the people who could afford this phone, how much they feel, what kind of like a Sony camera they have, what kind of like a performance they have, what kind of like a somebody royalty they are kind of like a providing, because iPhone is a kind of like a providing royal. Okay, yeah, it's a luxury item. Okay, yeah. So you are advertising that way. Okay, yeah. Now run this advertise in the television, but television is not a kind of like a something right way, but still it is really essential to run the advertise on television. running the advertisement in television is way more costly. Okay, yeah. And basically is this thing na ki it's not really good, but still for the iPhone point of perspective it is okay, because iPhone is a kind of like a something very well known product already it is. Okay, yeah. So make sure that your product, it should supposed to be kind of like a seen into the masses. Okay, yeah. Masses means like that so many people. So for the essential of that thing, you need to market in the television. Obviously, it costs a lot, but you are iPhone and you might kind of like somebody afford that much and things like that. All right, yeah. If you do this stuff and kind of like somebody do the banner and stuff like that. So the stuff that I'm trying to tell you is a kind of like a conventional way of marketing. Okay, yeah. What's a conventional way? A conventional way means like that you are using holdings, banner, television. These are kind of like a something. These are kind of like a something conventional way. Conventional way means like that old way. What do you mean by that? Like basically, are you thinking that if I'm kind of like a utilizing my promoting my content or promoting my product in a television is a kind of like a old way? Yeah, it is old way actually. What? Like basically, it's not old. It's a. It's not old. Yeah. Well, probably. Yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah, it's a kind of like a some old way of doing marketing, but it is also really effective too. Okay. There are multiple steps of marketing. Okay. It depends on what product that you have and who is that product for. Okay. This is most essential question that you should supposed to be asked. Regarding about iPhone is a well-known product already. It is. iPhone already established the status in a society. iPhone already have so many people knew it. Okay, yeah. So basically, this thing, it is also really essential for them that they also kind of like introduce new upgrade model, and they are kind of like advertisement on the television, because television is kind of like seen by the masses and things like that. Okay, yeah. Can iPhone will kind of like a something promote through social media? Yeah, like promote through, yeah, definitely you can do that, like basically, but you will not gonna kind of like a collaborate with the creator. No, because as I mentioned, iPhone is a well-known company, already established, already have loyal followers and things like that. So you kind of like a launch new iPhone 17 or 18, whatever it is. So you are kind of like a simply introducing your iPhone to the people that this is our new product. That's it. So you are make sure that you are promoting your content through television, because television is a mass content. Also holding too. Okay, yeah. Okay, make sure that holding where it is means like that that holding should supposed to be at such a place where kind of like a something rich people live. Okay, yeah, there is a kind of like a particular section of the city where rich people lives. Okay, yeah. Another thing is that the intersection, basically is this thing where basically there are so many every kind of like a somebody citizen of this particular city is actually crossed through that road. Okay, a main road or things like that which connect to the city, so use that road too. Okay, for the holding and things like that. So it will kind of like a somebody introduced by masses and things like that. Okay, yeah. So this is the way that you could do a kind of like a somebody marketing. Okay, yeah. Why am I said that you shouldn't supposed to be collaborate with the creator? Because as I mentioned, iPhone is a luxury item. It is already a luxury item. Okay, yeah. And you are selling this phone by phone, not as someone kind of like a somebody attach someone personality. What do you mean by that? It means by that, okay, let's just say Virat Kohli. Virat Kohli is an athlete, well-known follower, almost like 100 million plus follower. Okay, yeah. Now, obviously, Virat Kohli is a really amazing athlete and really influencer too. Okay, yeah. So, can iPhone is kind of like a promoted through Virat Kohli when there is a kind of like a simply two different thing happen. Okay, yeah. When you are try to promote your product and services from creator, that means your product is kind of like a less important than creator. What exactly is this thing? Okay, yeah. So iPhone is a brand, right? Virat Kohli is a person, but Virat Kohli is also brand too. Okay, yeah. So if I'm trying to compare the Virat Kohli and iPhone, then probably which one you think is bigger brand? Obviously iPhone, because Virat Kohli influence is actually in India, but iPhone influence in all around the world. Okay, so let's just kind of like somebody use Ronaldo. Ronaldo is have a kind of like a bigger influence than all over the world. So can iPhone is promoted through Ronaldo? Then this is also another thing. Let's just imagine that key, if you are kind of like attach your phone with any personality, even if that personality is good or great, okay, yeah, you are kind of like somebody assume that the iPhone means the brand of that phone is little less valuable than any other celebrity like a Ronaldo or things or that. Okay, yeah. So basically, that's why iPhone shouldn't supposed to be promote by any kind of like a celebrity or things like that. Because if they did, then the value of their product is kind of like a little less. As I mentioned, iPhone is a well-known established company. They are in the business for more than decade, and they are kind of like doing this luxury item for more than decade. Okay, so it is like a, and basically every corner of the world you might not found any person who knows the Ronaldo, but you will found any person who knows regarding about iPhone. Okay, so probably if I'm gonna say which brand is like a basically which bigger is that, so iPhone is much bigger than Ronaldo, is it too? Okay, yeah. In context point of perspective, you might not gonna seen it, but that is true. Not everyone watch the football, but everyone use mobile phone, right? So this is what it is, dude. Okay, yeah. So basically, as an iPhone, as a company, you shouldn't supposed to be collaborate with any kind of like some celebrity regarding about their phone and things like that. Huh? You can do that when your phone is designed for athlete. Let's just say that you build iPhone, Apple Watch. Okay, yeah. You make this Apple Watch for athlete. Okay, yeah. Then it is also essential that promote your product through athlete like a Ronaldo, Virat Kohli, lot of kind of like a players. Okay, yeah. So when you do that, it kind of like a somebody create a personality regarding about that watch, and kind of like a somebody what I'm like. Do you understand, na? When you change the product, the marketing is also changed too. Okay, yeah. So do you get it? So it's kind of like a somebody completely depend upon what is actually product and who is that product for. Like as I mentioned, the iPhone watch is kind of like a meant for athlete. So probably you should supposed to be promote your product like a iPhone watch from the athlete, Ronaldo, this and that. So it will kind of like a try. It will gonna kind of like a give you a little bit of help. Okay, yeah. Now, like as I mentioned, this is called kind of like a something a marketing, a conventional way of marketing. A conventional way means like you are using the kind of like a television, holdings, social media too. Okay, yeah. It's not a conventional way. It's also kind of like a something very like conventional way means like not old way. Sorry, I'm completely wrong. Conventional way is not old way. Conventional way is kind of like a something a very genuine way. Okay, yeah. But as I mentioned, marketing is completely depend upon product, and they are kind of like a some who is that product for. Okay, yeah, and the value of the product. All right. So this is also really essential. So kind of like actually promote your product in that way. Now, let's just imagine that I am kind of like a something new company established who is actually making the phone. Okay, yeah. Doesn't really have any loyal follower, doesn't really have any things. We just kind of like established our business just couple of year ago, and this is our first launch. Okay, yeah. Now how do you supposed to do marketing? How do you kind of like somebody do this stuff? Okay, yeah. So when you are kind of like somebody, let's just say Lava. Okay, yeah. Lava is a Indian brand and Indian smartphone mobile manufacturing brand. All right, yeah. Now Lava is kind of like a making the phone for almost like a more than decade too. But problem is that ki Lava is a kind of like an Indian brand. In most of people are doesn't really kind of like a believe that Indian brand would kind of like a simply sustain in the international brand or things like that. Yeah, these are kind of like a things. But let's just say if I am the marketing executive of the Lava, so what would I supposed to do? What is actually my marketing strategy? Okay, first of all is that I will not gonna go to the conventional way. I will not gonna advertise and I will not gonna go to the television. Why? Television is for the masses, and definitely my phone is not for the masses. Okay, yeah, definitely not. Okay, yeah. So basically, this thing before I kind of like a marketing, I have to be understand that ki my phone is, if I'm kind of like a making my phone, like if I'm kind of like a Lava, so basically I will talk to my CEO that ki is this phone for who's, for what people? Okay, yeah. They are like a mobile phone, everyone use the mobile phone, everyone has the same application, but the way that people use is kind of like a different category. People use for camera, people use for gaming, people use for casual, people use for lot of things. Okay, yeah. So let's just imagine that the chairman of the Lava company who actually make a phone regarding about kind of like a somebody Gen Z or teenager, or for kind of like a somebody very good performance with a good camera. Okay, so this is kind of like a sort of specialization regarding about the Lava phone they created. Okay, yeah. Now you are the executive marketing manager. Okay, executive chief marketing manager. Like basically you are the head of marketing. So what is actually you are like? How do you approach regarding about these marketing strategies? Okay, yeah. So first of all is that key Gen Z's like colors. Okay, yeah. So make sure that the back of the color is kind of like a something little bit vibrant or little bit kind of like a something good. It's not kind of like a monotonous. Let's just say the people who are in that particular age range, like a teenagers, they like to live and they love colors. Okay, yeah. Monotonous color for people who are kind of like a somebody above 40 and things like that. Okay, yeah. Because their taste is kind of like a, yeah, change that too. So basically if I am kind of like a making my phone for teenagers, so probably I am making a color of the phone is little bit really punchy or bit really kind of like a somebody vibrant, so that people will kind of like a somebody just look into it. One thing. Another thing is that ki camera, Gen Z people loves taking selfie. Okay, so make sure that they have kind of like a really good camera front and back too. Okay, yeah. And basically Gen Z's are also play mobile games too, uh, PUBG and lot of things. Okay, yeah. So make sure the processor in that phone is also really good. Okay, yeah. Now let's talk about the price. Make sure that kind of like a simply affordable, means like that ki Gen Z people or teenager people are not earning any kind of like a simply money. Okay, yeah. So probably they will gonna buy this phone when their parents are allow them to buy that phone. Okay, yeah. Now we actually make this phone. Okay, yeah. So how do you supposed to do the strategy? Okay, yeah. First of all, I will not gonna market my phone in conventional way. I will not gonna make any kind of like a small, I will gonna make advertise, but I will not gonna kind of like publish this advertise on the television, because television takes so much amount of money. Obviously I am not really that much, not equipped with that much amount of money, so I will not gonna do that. Okay, yeah. Now basically if you are kind of like a making advertisement in a kind of like a only very high end high end camera with kind of like some luxury things, resolution and very cinematic way, then probably people just kind of like a take it as advertisement. Okay, what do you mean by that? Okay, let's just imagine iPhone advertise in a such a way that their kind of like a simply phone is meant to be feel good. Okay, yeah, meant to be feel luxury. So they are creating advertisement in that way. Look at the music, look at the sound, look at the background, look at the people around them. It's always kind of like a something feels like a very cinematic and things like that. Okay, yeah. Which is kind of like a feels like professional too, because their product is a luxury product and meant for professional, right? But if your product are meant for Gen Zs or things like that, Then filmmaking, yeah, you can make the advertisement in filmmaking point of perspective with all everything good and things like that. It costs money, so basically you have to accept this thing too. Okay, yeah. But my approach is that I will not gonna make my phone with kind of like as a filmmaking point of perspective. No, I will gonna kind of like a advertisement my phone in a such a way that Gen Z phone use. How? Gen Z's people are love back cameras. Okay, yeah. So basically, what I do is that as a phone manufacturing company, I would collaborate with a kind of like a somebody case manufacturing company. Okay, yeah, and kind of like a say that this is our design and kind of like a make a kind of like a somebody very cool cover regarding about teenagers and things like that. Okay, yeah, because even if I made my phone in kind of like a somebody very like a punchy color and things like that, people will gonna use back cover because it's essential. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna collaborate with those people who are kind of like making a cases, and I'm kind of like a tell them that ki make the cases regarding about every emotion, every color and things and that and that. Okay, yeah. So this is kind of like something really helpful. So when they kind of like buy the phone, they will already get the cover, because sometimes it's all happened that kind of like a somebody cover usually didn't really came into the market when the phone is launched. Like the cover will came after the 2 3 5 months. Okay, yeah. Or what I do is that instead of kind of like a collaborating with a kind of like a something case cover manufacturing company, I would kind of like a give them a kind of like a something cover in my box. Okay, yeah. So that the cover of the phone is kind of like a bit really punchy or kind of like a something very different or whatever it is. Okay, yeah. It's kind of like when you do that thing, it's a kind of like a small things that people loves it. Okay, yeah. When you do that, if you kind of like a giving them kind of like a something cover in the phone, it will be really good. Or else you could do kind of like a somebody collaborate with the people who are kind of like a case manufacturing company and give them your kind of like a product and make them make your kind of like a somebody cases would kind of like a something very poppy, very Gen Z or things like that. They have multiple designs and stuff like that. Okay, yeah. One thing. Okay, yeah. Regarding about advertisement, as I mentioned that I will gonna advertisement my phone with a Gen Z's way. So how do I supposed to do that? Okay, yeah. So as I am a filmmaker too, so basically I would kind of like try to understand. Okay, yeah. So basically is this thing. What I do is that I would kind of like something tell the entire day of what will gonna happen with the phone. Okay, yeah. Like basically how the Gen Z people use their phone and things and that and that. Okay, yeah. It's not just cinematic, but it's kind of like a some creative advertisement with kind of like a some camera functionality. Means like that. Let's just take a day that a Gen Z people use the phone. So basically, Gen Z's people is actually wake up by the alarm. So basically, it started with the alarm. Okay, make sure that the camera is kind of like going to fix at one position of the phone, so it will not gonna change. Okay, yeah, for the rest of the advertisement. Now basically that particular person utilize that phone, like let's just say that girl is actually utilize that phone. So how is she gonna use it? So basically when there is the alarm ring and there is a 34% of battery, okay, she put the charger and within a 10 minutes it went to 74%. That is really good, like basically ultra fast charging. Okay, yeah. Then basically what exactly happened, she just kind of like a rush into the kind of like a phone and kind of like a put them into the pocket or purse and just kind of like ran away, because of Gen Z people are kind of like always running away from the kind of like assembly going to the college or things or that. Okay, yeah. So instead of kind of like a putting like a bit, just say that that girl is kind of like a running holding the phone and while she was running. Okay, yeah. So if you kind of like attach the camera into one thing, so basically you could understand that the mobile phone is actually went through multiple stages of horrible situation. Like basically when that girl is actually put the mobile phone into the purse, in the purse there is a multiple items like a lipstick or kind of like whatever pointy things which kind of like a somebody defect the screen or back or things like that. But your phone is kind of like equipped with higher corning gorilla glass or things like that, so it will not gonna affect and everything, nothing really at all. Okay, yeah. Now basically that girl is kind of like a running, so basically everything is actually happened really fast motion. Okay, because your camera is actually fixed at one position of the phone, so in the background you could see that that kind of like a happening so much fast. Okay, now she's into the kind of like assembly a classroom where everything gets bore and things and that. Okay, yeah, suddenly bell the ring and suddenly that she went to the cafeteria. Okay, yeah, phone kind of like a went to the rush and things like that. In the cafeteria there is a kind of like a coffee spell into the phone. There is a kind of like assembly the mustard spell into the phone or things like that. Okay, it get dirty and things like that. Okay, now what she do, she is kind of like a wiping that phone through a hand. That's it. There is some sort of smudges of the mustard or kind of like oil stick into that phone, but doesn't really affect that much. She just kind of like utilize, make sure that kind of like a somebody the little bit kind of like a messy things stick with that, so it kind of like a somebody good, it kind of like a feel like relevant. Okay, yeah, now she kind of like a do those things. She kind of like a taking selfies. She was kind of like a taking a playing games or kind of like using Instagram or things or that. She's kind of like a browsing YouTube and kind of like a simply doing the notes or kind of like a taking a photos of kind of like a simply the notes and things like that. Okay, she's also using the AI feature like a Gemini or kind of like a simply chat GPT. Okay, yeah, and basically this is the advertisement is actually all about that she was actually using that phone for rest of the day. And what will gonna happen within a kind of like a 30-second or like a 40-second, you will kind of like a make the advertisement regarding about that. So when you do this thing, it kind of like a somebody feel that your phone is actually connected with the Gen Z people because they actually been through all those ways. Okay, they went to college, they went to cafeteria, they went to take a selfie, they went to do all those things and stuff like that. So their phone is kind of like a get muddy, get messy, get kind of like somebody really not good thing. So you are not focusing on just a kind of like a somebody just only the focus on really like how good is phone. No, you are kind of like a somebody giving them how that phone is kind of like a went through terrible situation and how this phone is kind of like a somebody how does it kind of like somebody sustain and things like that. So it is kind of like something really good. And because the entire momentum is actually happened really fast, the frame is actually changing, the scene is actually changing, the colors and things are actually changing from, and as also music also changing. Because let's just imagine that she was actually wake up, then pump sound started. Okay, then she kind of like a something start sit into the classroom, then music went slow down and things like that, and suddenly ring the bell and cafeteria, and then she went to the cafeteria and sound is pump. Okay, yeah, and then she takes selfies and games and things and that and then she was really tired and she was actually traveling from college to home, then kind of like a somebody goes little small, like basically the sound is kind of like a somebody dip down and things like that. Okay, yeah, now basically at the evening at the function at kind of like let's just say there is at that time there is a Rakhi happened. Okay, so basically it's this thing na, ki in the Rakhi the everyone actually happening like a taking photo, like a cousin came, like the family came, like basically in Indian point of perspective there is a families came too, so they are taking selfies things and that and that and the music is pump. Okay, yeah, and then basically at 11 p.m. she was kind of like really tired and she went to sleep and she was kind of like put the phone into the side. Okay, yeah, and now we can see the battery, we can give them battery as almost like a 33% left. So basically her phone was kind of like a kind of like a, when the advertisement start the battery was 34%. Okay, yeah, the she charge went to 74 into 34 means like that the all the activity that she did in the 40% of the battery regarding about everything, and still there is a 30% remaining on the remaining battery. So which kind of like is really really good. And also do not show any kind of like a text or things like that, do not show put anything, show the kind of like a somebody exact thing, like what exactly, like you could see the screen text and things like that, you could see the text messaging things and stuff like that. So when you show that thing, oh my god, the advertisement is kind of like really blown my mind, dude. I'm just thinking, just kind of like a 30 or 60 second of advertisement. That's it. Okay, and make sure that advertisement is in the vertical format, not in the horizontal format. Vertical format means reel format. Okay, most of the Gen Z people are consuming vertical videos. So kind of like make the advertisement in vertical videos, but make sure that make this advertisement in horizontal video and crop it into the vertical format, or maybe kind of like a shoot this advertisement in both the way, so that you would kind of like a promote your product, promote your kind of like advertisement, not in kind of like social media, but somewhat kind of like a something YouTube and things like that. They really require 16:9 aspect ratio, so you can use that thing either too. Okay, so this is what you do. Okay, this is the advertisement that you did. Okay, yeah. Now what you do is that key. Now let's talk about the lava. Okay, lava company is kind of like always underdog. Underdog means like that people don't really know regarding about everything at all. Okay, yeah. So what should you supposed to do? How are you supposed to promote your phone? Okay, yeah. So basically the launching is almost like a 1 month ahead. Okay, so you have almost like a 1 month period. So what do you do now? Okay, yeah, like basically not 1 month, let's just say a 2 week, like 15 days. Okay, so you have to sell your phone, not you have to give the phone to the creator or tech community people or things like that. Okay, and ask them to make a review. Okay, yeah. Okay, let me tell you one thing. In the first example, as I mentioned, that ki iPhone shouldn't supposed to be collaborate with any kind of like a creator. Because of that, ki iPhone value is much more bigger than any kind of like a celebrity. Okay, even if the Ronaldo, right? But you are lava company, so obviously you don't really have that much kind of like a value. Okay, yeah. So make sure that you have value less. So probably is this thing, what you do is that ki find a kind of like a creator who kind of like a review the phone or things or that. Okay, so you actually give the phone to them and kind of like a review the product regarding what is actually your opinion, things like that. Opinion is there. Okay, opinion, like basically whatever their phone, whatever the phone it is, the creator is it, they have their opinion. Okay, but you have to kind of like a create a buzz regarding about all the creator. They are actually talking about this phone, good or bad, whatever it is, they are kind of like talking about this phone and things like that. So it will start a trend. Okay, it will start a trend. Okay, yeah. Now what you do is that ki in this particular thing you're gonna find any kind of like a something meme material. Okay, yeah. What's a meme material? Like basically we are in living in this world where kind of like most of people are actually consumed by the meme. Okay, yeah. What is actually meme? Meme is a kind of like a joke which is not have to be tell, but kind of like a visualization joke. Okay, you just kind of like a see it and you just feel it and you just laugh it. Okay, yeah. So that is called kind of like a meme. And also meme is one of the main factor of meme is that they are relatable. So make sure your meme is relatable. So make kind of like something like that. Okay, so create kind of like a meme. Okay, yeah. But probably is this thing na, ki when you are kind of like a creating meme about your phone, then probably is this thing, it will not gonna kind of like a viral that much. Okay, so what are you supposed to do? So you have a creator na, like you actually kind of like went to the creator and you actually says this thing that ki we are actually giving you money regarding about you have to promote your phone and things like that. As also kind of like do the clause that ki we also making a memes about you with the phone with our phone. Okay, yeah. So can we do that? And mostly creator yes, yeah, okay, because when it meme happened, then probably it will kind of like benefit not only for your product but as well as for the creator too. Okay, so basically the value of your company is little less, but the creator value is little more. So what you do is that you are creating meme with kind of like somebody your product with the creator kind of like personality or things like that, and you are creating meme. Okay, make a meme like let's just say let's make thousands of meme. Okay, yeah. Like do you say thousands of meme is too much? Well, probably is this thing in the viral content formation. Now you don't know what will gonna work. Okay, but some memes are kind of like only going viral. Some memes are just like okay, yeah. So basically just think create a meme. Okay, yeah, and kind of like somebody send those meme into the kind of like somebody so many channels. Okay, do not okay, yeah, let me tell you one thing. Okay, meme is a kind of like a little bit underdog means like that ki like most of the brands are don't really want to kind of like focus on meme, because meme is kind of like a create the reputation, but sometimes it create the bad reputation. Okay, yeah. Okay, so basically if you are kind of like a promoting meme through social media, then it is also not good either too. Okay, because your brand is cool. I don't want to kind of because my brand is associated with a meme and things like that. Meme is actually work, but basically I don't want my brand associated with the meme. So what I do, I am kind of like making memes. Okay, yeah. So I kind of like went through all those kind of like meme creator on the Twitter or any kind of like WhatsApp or things like that, and I'm gonna say this is the meme. You just have to kind of like something make the meme or kind of like circulate on your kind of like some channel or circulate on your social media platform. Okay, and when they did it, it kind of like somebody is this thing, I am not kind of like part of that meme, but because of the meme they created, it kind of like somebody, it kind of like create the buzz regarding about my product as well as kind of like a creator and things like that. Some of the meme get viral, some of the meme will not gonna get viral. Like okay, like basically we put the effort and things like that. Okay, so this is what kind of like a things. Okay, yeah. Now, basically, we already created really kick-ass advertisement. We already created buzz regarding about creator in social media platform. Okay, yeah. Now what you do is that key pricing. Okay, make sure the pricing is kind of like somebody exactly right regarding about the what is actually creator, what is actually kind of like somebody user will gonna utilize and things like that. Okay, yeah. As well as you could kind of like somebody give the early access. Okay, means like that ki people who are kind of like somebody want to buy this phone, you can buy this phone 1 week ahead or 2 week ahead, so that you could utilize your phone and things like that. Okay, so that people will gonna buy and they are kind of like utilize this thing. Also you are actually kind of like a working on after sale service too, because the phone will get damaged, so what will gonna happen and things like that. Be honest regarding about what is actually your after sale service, like a yeah, your after sale service is good or not good or things like that. Be honest. Okay, like honest is one of the most essential thing that you shouldn't supposed to be lie. You are kind of like a somebody selling the product to the customer, and basically customer are not like they are smart. Okay, they are kind of like a doing buying the phone for almost like a 30,000 rupees, and basically we are Indian and we are actually buying product for value for they are actually offering. So make sure that you are doing that thing. And as also you are lava company, you don't really have any kind of like a value or things like that, so your only one thing that you have is this phone. So make sure this phone is kind of like really good and things like that. Okay, so if you do all those kind of like a tactics and things and that, it just add little bit. Might be like basically the last product that you sell is maybe almost like a 10,000 unit, it might went into 20 or 25,000 unit. Let me explain. Okay, yeah, even if you put all the effort and everything, do not expect so much good result, because when you expect so much good result, then probably you feel like failure, and that is not the failure. Understand what is actually your position was, and understand your position right now. Progress will not gonna happen rapidly. No, you just kind of like a doing it little simple steps. Okay, yeah, last time you sell 10,000 unit, this time you sell 20,000 unit. That's it, 20 or maybe 15,000 unit. Get kind of like a simply happiness. Okay, like basically is this thing, as a kind of like a CEO of the kind of like a company, or kind of like a marketing executive of the chief marketing executive, I'm kind of like a say this thing, I will kind of like a put this phone into the at least like a 15 to 70,000 unit I would kind of like a sell. And you have to be kind of like a happy with that thing, because if you are kind of like expecting very wrong or expecting so much, then probably you will not gonna satisfied and you will feel failure. And when you feel failure, then you will not gonna do this thing again next year. Let me tell you one thing, in the smartphone manufacturing company, you have to make sure your product is relevant, your product is kind of like seen by the people and things like that. Okay, so if you do this thing now, then probably, and also marketing shouldn't supposed to be stopped, like it shouldn't supposed to be stopped like after the kind of like a launch and things like that. You have to promote your product in meme format or any kind of like a reel format or any kind of like a things every day, like basically once in a week. After you launch the product and things like that, you are actually talking about the feedback, you are talking about the after sales service, you are actually talking about how that phone good or things on that. So basically, and also kind of like simply regarding about the customer, you actually ask them customer like a shoot your video regarding about the phone and things like that, and we will make a video and kind of like upload that thing. If you're kind of like a being really consistent and things like that, then basically little by little it will gonna add a value, and you will gonna do kind of like simply promote your product and things like that. Okay, by the way, I'm just talking about just a smartphone, but basically digital manufacturing company, like a digital kind of like a marketing is not just kind of like a this like I also kind of like somebody give an example regarding about how do we supposed to do digital marketing. But there is also another ways to digital marketing too. Okay, multiple ways. Okay, and as also this is the kind of like a field where so many people didn't really explore that much. Like they like I talk about the memes are kind of like a new formation of marketing. Okay, yeah, like this is kind of like something brand new, like almost like a last year there is a kind of like a something marketing term called meme marketing, like introduced. Before that, meme marketing was not even existed. Okay, so this is what it is, like basically this kind of like a sector is like a basically like a not really evolved that much. So basically you just have to do it every possible way that make sure your product is good at being honest with whatever the stuff that you are saying. Okay, yeah, like basically do not lie, do not kind of like a things, do not kind of like do the fake promotion. When you do that, it will kind of like a somebody, yeah, it will kind of like add really good impact at the beginning, but when people realize that those people are really fake, then it will gonna draft down, like basically Like basically popularity increase slowly, but negativity falls down very rapidly, really rapidly. So do not do any kind of like a mess. Be honest and kind of like a said regarding about product, what is actually good, what is actually bad. Just be honest and said them. It's not really bad to kind of like have a wrong thing in you. No, just kind of like express this thing. It's kind of like a considered as a honesty. And sometimes the product is actually sold by the honesty of the company. Sometimes, actually most of the time probably. All right, it's been kind of like I'm talking for almost like a 40 minute. Whatever this is then I should supposed to be in here, and thank you.